Alright guys, welcome. I'm making this video to not only show you what it actually takes to get started with organic dropshipping in 2026, but also anything that you may have heard from other gurus or shorts, whatever you've watched before, compare that to what I'm about to share because this is actually way more boring to a lot of people, but this is actually how you actually win. So the first thing is going to be the product, okay? So how do we find products? And this is something which I had to realize after spending a lot of money, by the way. I had to spend money to private suppliers, to different apps or websites to find, different suppliers for the products which I was looking for. Until eventually I just went to the main guys, which are AliExpress, and I'm gonna focus more on Alibaba because that's what I like to use more. So that's going to be the main source for not only fulfilling orders or like trying to find the product, but also to literally, as I said, to find the product to instead of going on your burn account looking for products, instead you would go on Alibaba or AliExpress, Temu, whatever. Personally, I would never go for the other apps on the Alibaba or AliExpress. I would check them for products, and sometimes I'd even speak with the manufacturers to see if I could find a product which may not be listed, so something they're working on or new variants that they're capable of doing. So basically I'm asking them about the custom products which they may have with OneMOQ. So there's a lot of things that can be done through going or through this process which you cannot be doing otherwise, right? And I don't want to even like get into the prices, and like oftentimes whenever you use a third party app or agency, whatever, to find your products and fulfill them for you, they're 100% taking a cut, right? So I might as well take it from the main guys. And that's number one. Number two is going to be what product to pick, right? So if you're starting in 2026 or you're still looking for your next winner, then the best way is to start with saturated products. And I'll get into the next, what I truly think is the next step. So, saturated products, usually, they are literally laying down the road for you to to prove to yourself that this product actually works. So, in other words, they're validating your process. So, you wouldn't waste your time testing that product, right? So that's step number one. We're just going to put it as A. B is that even if you are advanced and you're trying to take it one step forward, which is creating a custom branded product, these may seem like you're reinventing the wheel, but actually you're taking inspiration from the saturated products or saturated niches, and then trying to create a product which will fulfill that gap in the market or supply that demand. Okay, so whatever is working, okay, try to find a better product and then introduce it with your own touch to it. And this touch can be done with AI. It can completely create your product, which is insane, by the way. I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, custom products, they're a derivative of saturated products, okay? So this will create new exclusive winners, which are usually the long-term products, okay? And I want to make it clear, like even these 6-7 figures, which are brands which are doing really well using saturated products, they would still use this route by either customizing their boxes or their website. The brand is how you perceive, how you show your product to the world, right? Whether it's with your marketing or with your website. So it doesn't always have to be custom. That's why I put here a slash. So it doesn't need to be custom. You could brand it by just making it look trustworthy and actually worthy of whatever the value is, right? So that's really important for me to mention. Next point is going to be the AI. So this is where magic happens. I mean, just to give you a better idea, I've actually been working on a new brand which is custom. Okay, so this is actually my first time working on a high MOQ product, and I've actually poured a lot of time and energy into it. But this is after I found my first winner. So now that I'm going for that route, I didn't even realize how much AI usage I'm doing per day to actually make this happen. So I would argue that this is actually the best time to start something new. And don't get me wrong, this also is applicable to anyone, whether you're doing a 1 MOQ product or 500 plus MOQ product. I've been using it for my winner for the past year, and this Q4 without AI, I wouldn't have been able to portray it as a big brand as I did without AI. So it's gonna be comprehensive, the usage of AI, but I'm trying to just shed the light on the fact that you could actually create something new with AI. Okay, now how is this possible? First of all, I want to highlight that the easiest way to start is with images, because images are actually the easiest to make them look realistic, right? So I would use AI Studio, and in particular Nano Banana Pro. This is my top, nothing sponsored, giving you my personal experience and preference. And then number 2 is actually a new feature from CapCut, which over the past month, I have been pretty much literally just working on CapCut for all of my prompting to create images. So it's using the same feature. It's using Nano Banana Pro, but for some reason it's better. So I've been using that. And yeah, that's for the images. Next is going to be for the videos. So the marketing, I don't want to even get to the marketing right now because I truly don't think it's that important if you are an organic dropshipper. Mostly what I see a lot of guys struggling with organic is making it look like a brand, and all it takes is just images, because the marketing is a bit trickier. I have to say, it's a completely different specialty. You need to put in a lot of time and effort to make it work. Okay, so let's get back to the images for a bit. I told you about the images, but where would you use them, or what would you even prompt, right? So the best way to start with images is to create a good landing page, first of all. And this is one thing which I have been recently really focusing on, this metaphor that paid ads guys are no different from us. And here's why. People who are doing paid ads are no different from us because they put a lot of more effort into their websites, unlike us. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're paying for every session. So they're just trying to squeeze out as much CVR as possible per session. And that's why they do what they do, right? They put in the advertorial, good landing pages, very branded. So from A to Z, it's all branded, all perfect. While as organic dropshippers, they don't actually appreciate the sessions they get, which are free. That's why they don't appreciate them. So if you were to think like a paid ads operator, and you would actually appreciate your sessions and see that you're getting like 500 or 1,000 plus sessions per day, and you're not getting any sales, then that would alarm you that the problem is your website. So that's when you actually need to, brand your website by creating better images. So instead of creating an advertorial, I wouldn't do that. I would instead maybe land them to the homepage or the collection page, and then have some really good branding for the product images, maybe hero image and collection images, whatever. There's a lot of things you could create with AI, and it's very realistic. So that's the number one thing which I see lacking in the space, and that's why it's easy to win, in my opinion. You just need a good product, proven to work, and then make it look better than others with your marketing and your website, period. That's it. So if you can do that, you're going to be ahead of others. And then comes the marketing. So here is where you can take it one step forward using VO3 or Hexfield, whatever you want to use. And then you create the first initial image using Nano Banana Pro. You put it as your first image, and then you have to prompt again. So let's say you want to move a car, right? This is the car at point A, and you want to move it all the way to point B, right? So the way you do that is you create a prompt for the first one, which is stationary, at point A, and then you create another image by prompting that the car should be at point B. That's all you need. You just need image 1 and image 2, the initial and the final. And then you put them. So this is the initial image, and then here's the final image. And this is where AI does the rest for you. So it just, obviously you want to prompt it to tell it what to do, but then it just links, or it fills the gap to, you know, move the first image to the final image. Okay? So it's that simple, and there's a lot of different apps which you could use. There's also Flora, but again, these are all from my personal preference. Nothing is sponsored, so I'm just telling you what I know, and this is very transparent. I'm not like, I don't gatekeep. So yeah, by now, if you've watched this far, then you would know how boring it is to actually start the non-fancy way, right? Because I'm literally just focusing on things which nobody would talk about. I'm talking about how important your images are using AI, and then branding, which nobody has the patience for. Everyone just wants to run the next shiny product, which is going super viral with no validation whatsoever. And then they would test it. If it doesn't work, they just refund it or return it, whatever, run the next product, and so on. So that's the fancy way, the shiny object way. But this is actually what works, because if you could actually have data to back up a product which you're selecting, even if it's a new product, by the way, you could have a good eye. So the reason why people who have been in the game for a very long time have a good eye for products is because, or can pick a product to begin with, is because we have seen all the products, what has come and gone, and make a conclusion that, okay, this has worked in the past, therefore it's going to work now, because it has something to back it up, some data. And let me tell you what's the outcome of doing this boring route. If there's a product which is very trendy right now, and I'll give you an example here, the camera, which is the most viral product of 2025. This camera could be used for any angle and has proven to work for multiple angles, multiple six-figure stores, right? So this is already too saturated, yet people still run it till this day. That's how good it is. So if you can take this conclusion out of this product, then you could literally go to Alibaba and then look for new wearable cameras, and then find a new variant which is as good, if not better. Maybe it's like more convenient to wear, maybe the quality of the camera is better, something about it is better, maybe the price is better for you, so you can sell it for cheaper for the customers. So once you find a new variant of it, that's when you can introduce a new product to the market. So at this point, you're not reinventing the wheel. No, you're just taking the data from the past and then using it to add to the wheel. So you're finding a new product, adding it to the market, and printing with it, because it already has data to back up that it's going to work. And you have a lot of content which has worked in the past. You could just check what worked, pick the niche that you want, the content, recreate it, and then there you have it. So this same concept you can apply to the boring platform, which nobody seems to look at. But then whenever I speak with an advanced dropshipper, they're always doing this. So this is like the most shocking thing I've had to witness over the past like year or two, is that whenever I watch gurus, they're all talking about the same things. But then when you actually speak with the people who are actually doing well, they're literally having private suppliers, manufacturers from the main source. So these are a few ways of how to get started. Now, the only thing missing is the marketing. So the marketing is something which you need to also follow. You don't want to be, following your mind, trying to create something new. No. Try to see what worked in the past from other competitors, but then give it your own twist. So this is something which I like to highlight, especially with my affiliates. I always ask them, do you have something nearby that could give you an advantage over other dropshippers? Because in my opinion, if there's a product you are running and you have a good reason for you to record outside, then it's 100% better for you to actually go outside. Because the reality is 99%, if not 99.9% of dropshippers, they're just recording with the same everything. So if you could break the cycle, like just see what they're doing, follow the same concepts, right? The same music, the same movements, same product, same niche. Everything is working, right? But then different background. Something that's, considered like a wow factor. That's gonna make you stand out. So that's my best advice about marketing. I don't want to get too much into it. It's gonna be like an hour-long video, but yeah, invest into your equipment. Really important. And it's all about lighting, movement, background. If you can get these three right, you're good to go. So yeah, this was like a quick intro to get started the boring way, but this is actually the right way. And this is like, you'd be surprised, but this is very common and relatable to even paid ads. I myself am more interested now into doing a hybrid approach where I do organic and paid ads. So I'll be looking forward to doing this in the near future, perhaps with a new product, which were the new brand. So if you're interested, speaking of which, we have an affiliate program, and I'm actually training everyone who's entering right now for that new product because it's going to be here around March. So this is going to be very exclusive. And honestly, like, there's only a few exceptions where I'm accepting like beginners, but you can try and we can, see if you're good fit. But this is literally all free, and you get mentorship, you get cuts, everything. So if you're interested, let me know. But again, this is like preferably for intermediate plus. And yeah, apart from that, if there's anything I would ask for is just to join my Discord, subscribe, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, no courses sold, nothing, just pure sauce. And yeah, just be part of the team if you'd like to. So yeah, if you guys have learned something new, let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see next. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.